Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, I'll be teaching you guys how to cut and sew this very simple crisscross neckline top. If you're interested, keep on watching and let's get started. So I already have my pattern paper folded into two. To know the amount of fabric or pattern paper to fold, go ahead and use your bust circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. So I'll start by taking my points. The first point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. I'll indicate the 10 inches with a dot and I'll rule a straight line across. The next point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my waistline, which is also going to serve as the length of my top. I'll be using 17 inches, so I marked 17 inches and I also ruled a straight line across. So I have my bust line and my waistline, which is the length of my top. The next thing I'll do is to take half of my shoulder measurement on the start of this pattern paper. Half of my shoulder measurement is 8 inches. And then I'm going to place my tape like this and I'll go down by my round armhole circumference divided by 2. So my round armhole circumference is 16 inches. 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. So this 8 inches mark is going to be my chest line, okay? Another way you can get your chest line is to go up from your bust line by 2 inches. It's going to give you your chest line. So I'll mark the 8 inches and I'll roll a straight line across from my armhole to sit, and then I'll connect from my shoulder line to meet the 8 inches mark in a straight line. After doing that, I'm going to go down on this straight line by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'll slant from there into the neckline area. After doing that, I'm going to place my tape on this straight line that I have here, and I'm going to mark the middle point. What I have is 7 inches. Half of 7 inches is 3.5 inches. I'll indicate the 3.5 inches with a dot. On that dot, I'll come inward by half an inch, and I'll also indicate the half an inch with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to place my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. Okay, after doing that, go ahead and add 1 inch for that and 1 inch for stitching allowance. If your fabric is stretchy, there is no need to add any stitching allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and connect from the shoulder slope to meet the half an inch point, and from there to meet the point that I have on the chest line. After doing that, guys, next thing I'm going to do is to place my waist circumference divided by 4. And if you are adding that to your top, go ahead and add 1 inch for that and 1 inch for stitching allowance. So if you are using a stretchy fabric, there's no need to add that or stitching allowance. Just place your waist circumference divided by 4, and that is all. You will not need stitching allowance or that for a stretchy fabric. After doing that, connect the dot that you have on the chest line to meet what you have on the waistline. I've gone ahead to do that, and I'm going to use the 1 inch that I have left on the base of this pattern paper as my hemming allowance. So next thing I'll do is to take in my dart. So I'm not going to take in my dart, I'm just doing this for those that will be taking in their dart. What you're going to do is to take half of your nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 4 inches. I measured from the center front of my fabric, and I took the 4 inches on the waistline, and on the chest line, on the bust line, I came down by 1 inch and I connected into a straight line. I'm going to take half an inch on both sides of this straight line, and I'll connect to meet the mark below the bust line, just like you see me doing. After doing that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and determine how deep I want the neckline to be. So for me, I'll go down by 5 inches. So I'll go down by 5 inches. I'll indicate the 5 inches with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to go down by half an inch from my armhole area. Okay, I'm doing this just so the armhole area is a little bit free. So I'll go down by half an inch, just like you see me doing. I'll indicate the half an inch with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to connect like this. So I'll connect in a slanty form from the 5 inches to meet the half an inch mark below the armhole area, just like this. Okay, so we don't need the upper part of this fabric anymore. We are going to cut it out. Okay, so I'm going to just shade out this part just so you know that we are cutting it off. So before we cut it off, we are going to calculate the amount of fabric that we'll be using for the crisscross effect. So I'm going to open up my fabric like this. I already have half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches, on the other side of the pattern paper. So I'm going to mark from the center, which is already obvious. I'm going to mark 8 inches. That's another 8 inches, making it 16 inches, which is my actual shoulder measurement. So I'm going to now slant from the center to meet the 8 inches mark that I just marked, and then I'm going to place my tape to confirm that I have that 16 inches. Okay, so after confirming I have 16 inches, what I'm going to do is to now measure from the armhole area, okay, down to the 16 inches mark, as you can see. So what I have is about 20 inches. So I'll be using this 20 inches to cut out my band for the crisscross effect. Okay, so that is all. I'm going to just go ahead and cut, so pay close attention so you know where to cut. After cutting, guys, this is what I have for the front. Okay, so I'm going to now place this on my fabric and I'll cut, but let's quickly draft out our back pattern. So for the back pattern, I'm going to go ahead and take my zipper allowance. I'm doing this for those that will be sewing a zipper to their top. Like I said before, I'm using a stretchy fabric, so I went ahead to take 1.5 inches, which is going to be my zipper allowance, and I'm going to bring back my front piece and I'll place it on this pattern paper like this. So before I place it, I'm going to fold this sharp edge because we don't need it for the back. The back is supposed to be straight. So when folding, make sure you don't fold too much so that your back will not be shorter than the front. Just fold the sharp edge. Then I'm going to go ahead and pin it. After pinning, I'm going to just trace what I have out. After cutting, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do is to take in my dart. So if you are taking in the dart for the front, you should take in the darts for the back. So I'm going to go ahead and take half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I'll mark after the zipper allowance. Okay, I'll take 4 inches. Okay, and I'll connect the dots into a straight line. After doing that, I'm going to take half an inch on both sides of the straight line and I'll connect. The next thing I'll do is to adjust my zipper area. So I already have 1.5 inches as my zipper allowance. I'm going to take out 1 inch from the waist area, and then I'm going to connect from that point to meet the neckline, just like you see me doing. This is to avoid zip bulge. So I'm going to go ahead and cut. After cutting, guys, that is all for the pattern drafting. I have my front pattern and I have my back pattern. So I'm going to label my pattern paper. So guys, these are my pattern papers. I'm going to go ahead and place them on my fabric folded into two, and I'm going to cut out. So I've gone ahead to do that. I have the front and the back. So I'm using a stretchy fabric. That's why I folded in my zipper allowance. So let's start with the front. I'll go ahead and remove my pins. As you can see, I added half an inch on the base. I also added half an inch on the neckline area. Okay, this is going to serve as my stitching allowance. I'll remove my pins. Remember, your center front should be on fold. It's very important. So after removing my pins, like I said before, I'm not going to add that to it. That is why I did not notch the dart area. I opened my fabric up and this is what I have. The next thing I did was to go ahead and cut out the band that I'll be using for the crisscross effect. I went ahead to sew it and I turned it inside out. The length of this band is 29 inches. So while we did our calculation earlier, what we had was 20 inches. So the distance from the shoulder to the back, from my shoulder to my back, is about 8 inches, making it 28 inches, and I added 1 inch for stitching allowance. Okay, so I'm using the 1 inch to join the band to the back. So remember, we created the crisscross neckline from half inch below the chest line, so that's why I said the distance from my shoulder to my back is 8 inches. Okay, before I forget, the wideness of my band is 3 inches, which I feel like it became too much because it added to the length of the front and the back became short. So make sure you reduce yours, just like what you can see on the thumbnail. The one on the thumbnail is slim and mine is too wide because it added to the length of the front. So you can make yours about 1.5 inches or 2 inches maximum. So I'm going to go ahead and place it like this. You can see that the part that I sewed is where I placed inside. So I'm going to pin like this on one end, and I'll take the other band and I'll also pin. So make sure that your stitching allowance is inside, it is hidden inside. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just follow what I am doing. Okay, so I'm going to pin from this end also to meet the center. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and sew. So guys, for the back, this is what I have. I went ahead to add half an inch to the base and to the upper part, and my center back is on fold because I'll not be adding zipper to this top. So I'm going to remove my pattern paper, and if you want to add zipper, go ahead and cut it with the zipper allowance and turn your neckline, then sew your zipper in place and hem the base. So I went ahead to cut out this piece of fabric that I'll be using to pipe my neckline. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it. I've also gone ahead to sew the band in place, and this is what it looks like. So after sewing, you're going to turn it over. So the part that you sewed is going to be inside, just like this, and we're going to turn it over like this and attach the rest part of the band to the back. Okay, so I've gone ahead to pipe my neckline and for the back, and this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do is to place them right sides facing right sides, and then I'm going to use my stitching allowance, okay, to sew on both sides of the top. After sewing the front and back together, this is what I have. I went ahead to turn it to the right side, and this is what it looks like. The next thing I'll do is to turn it over to the back, and I'm going to arrange the neckline. Next thing I'll do is to bring the band to the back. Okay, so it's going to be like this. I'll bring the second one like this. So to know where to place the band, you are going to come out from the armhole area by about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. I think 1.5 inches is okay, and you are going to place the band like this. After placing it, you are going to pin and then stitch on it. Okay, I'm going to stitch on that same line that I used to pipe the neckline. I'm just going to stitch on it. Okay, after stitching the band in place, this is what I have, guys. So the next thing I'm going to do is to hem. So if you want to hem, go ahead and hem the base of your top, but I think I'm going to just overlock the ends. So guys, that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.